The blank canvas is where every idea begins, whether it's a logo, a merch design, or the next viral post. But what happens when artificial intelligence steps in to help you create it? All of it instantly. Well, that's Adobe Firefly. Adobe calls it the next generation of creative tools, text-to-image, generative fill, and effects that promise to turn anyone into a designer. But is it true creative freedom or just another fad? Hey, it's Caitlin, and welcome back to GBRLIFE Reviews, where I test the tools, apps, and platforms so you don't waste your time or your money. So is Adobe Firefly the shortcut we've all been waiting for, or just the hype wrapped in fancy branding? And you know what I mean, it's Adobe. PDFs? Well, let's find out right after my quick intro while you like and subscribe.
Welcome to GBRLIFE. We'll talk big love, everything in the mix. So bring your boy, Joe Bright, You're home now, babe. This is GBRLIFE. Ooh, this is GBRLIFE.
So what does Firefly actually do? Well, like I mentioned in the intro, you get text to image to generate art from a simple prompt. Think Midjourney. But you also get generative fill to add or remove objects in a photo. And in that case, you would think Canva. Actually, for text effects to turn words into artwork and generative recolor to swap color palettes in seconds, you should also think Canva. But overall, it's all drag and drop, no Photoshop degree required. And that's the whole point. And it lives inside of Adobe's web app and Creative Cloud, which is where it's no longer in the land of Midjourney or Canva, because as Adobe fans know, the Creative Cloud has some major tools that change the game on how far this could go. But before I get into that in particular, let's talk those pros and cons. First up, what I liked. Well, it's beginner friendly. It has that clean interface, and the prompts are simple, and the results appear in under 30 seconds. Plus, there's high quality output. Images are crisp enough for social posts immediately, and they even have merch mockups. I know, like Canva. But it's free to start, also like Canva, but there is a free tier with daily credits, and it lets you experiment before spending a dime. So you get an idea before you do anything. Plus, it's seamless Adobe integration. One click moves your creations into Photoshop or Express for deeper edits, which brings me back to what I mentioned before. This can work with pretty much the rest of Adobe's other tools, and that means you can make and create a masterpiece all without ever leaving Adobe, making this a bigger Canva competitor than it's been in a long time. But as I always say, this isn't all sunshine and rainbows, so let's talk what I didn't like. First and foremost, occasional sameness. Hopefully that's a good way of putting it. Some styles feel a bit stock photo. When you push for something really unique and you get more of a stock photo feel, that's kind of annoying. And then you have to have an Adobe account. You can't just jump in anonymously. Sign up is mandatory. I hate that. Plus, there's a learning curve for perfectionists. If you're a pro designer expecting Photoshop level control, no, that is going to be in Photoshop still, and you can take it and immediately open it in Photoshop, but you're still going to need the classic tool of Photoshop to do it. Other than that, you're creating the original image there, and then you're going to bring it into Photoshop. So, you've got that little learning curve on how well can you get that prompt to get the most perfect photo of all time or video. And you don't have a whole lot of times you can do that because there are credit limits, and that's the next thing I didn't like. The free plan caps you fast, especially if you're testing multiple prompts or large files. Which brings us to what you want to know. How much are those credits once you run out? So let's talk pricing. Especially with something like Adobe, it's going to hit that wallet. But Firefly itself is free with daily credits. But this is very limited at only 25 credits a month, which means daily you're not getting much. But you can go for Creative Cloud and get way more than Firefly for $70 a month. And it includes Firefly with 4,000 credits a month, which isn't cheap at all. But you might be able to cut ties with other tools that you might be using because you get over 20 apps with Creative Cloud, including Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Audition, Character Animator, Lightroom, and even After Effects. Again, there's over 20 of them, so there's so much more. Or you can go for Firefly only plans with Standard, Pro, or Premium. Pro is $9.99 a month for 2,000 credits and up to 20 5-second videos. Pro is $29.99 a month for 7,000 credits and up to 70 5-second videos. And Premium, it's Adobe being the most ridiculous they could ever be at $199.99 a month for 50,000 credits and unlimited access to Firefly video model in generative. But that $199 or $200 a month does not give you access to other apps. And speaking to Adobe directly, seriously, $200 a month? Well, anyways, that brings us to the most important question of all. Is it worth it? Choose Adobe Firefly if you want quick, high-quality visuals for social posts, merch ideas, or marketing. If you love the idea of AI assisting without needing technical skills. You're already in Adobe's ecosystem and you want instant Photoshop handoffs, this is also for you. But skip this. If you need full control over every pixel and plan to create hundreds of images a day, you're going to go broke. Or you'd rather not create an Adobe account. I completely understand that. Not everything should have your information, and you need it for this one, so don't go for it if you're just not one of the types of people who want to do that. Or you dislike subscription models at all, and you want unlimited free use. This is not for you. Or really anything Adobe in that sense. But that's why I'm going to give it the GBRLIFE rating for Adobe Firefly, to be clear. This rating is only for Firefly, not the whole of Adobe, because the little price hogs that they are. But I'm giving Adobe Firefly a GBRLIFE rating of a 4 out of 5. Adobe Firefly is polished, it's powerful, and it is fun. An AI tool that really does save time without feeling like a gimmick, and it's not perfect with that price. But Creative Cloud could bring you back to the dark side and make the cost kind of worth it if you're using other tools and you decide to kind of just go into the Adobe world itself. And for most creators, it's easiest for an on-ramping to professional-looking AI art today that you can directly work with other apps without having to do anything extra to make it work. Because sometimes you do have to change the quality level, for example, with Canva. So that does make a difference. And in this case, you don't have to do that with Adobe because it's already using what it needs for the other apps. So would you let AI design your next project, or do you still prefer the old DIY route or just Canva? Because I have mentioned Canva a million times. Are you a Canva user who would never go to the dark side of Adobe? Because that would be very interesting to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And that's it for this week's review. If you want more like this, check out the GBRLIFE Reviews Unfiltered Opinions playlist. And of course, like and subscribe so you never miss another GBRLIFE review. And wait, there's more. This is not a commercial, but if you are interested in another browser option, check out my review from last week on Arc. It's a Mac attack on both a Mac and a PC, but in a browser fashion. Mac attack? No? Look, I'm a mom, so it's a mom joke. Either way, the link to watch that should be just above me, or it'll be at the end of the video so that you can watch it next. And with all of my content on GBRLIFE.com and my fabulous Mama Koala clothing line that now has a whole bunch of new Halloween stuff, go check that out. You don't have to be without GBRLIFE in your life. See you next week. Bye.
Not your bid less.